What is going on, fam? How we doing today? You guys doing good? I apologize for being a little late. I kept having to push back. I was actually doing a pod with Steph and Angie over there from 49 Carat podcast. Great, those love them. That was fun. That was a lot of fun. Um, but I figured today's episode it's going to be a light episode. I don't have anything that's a ton of prepared information. I figured we'd do a Q&A, really give you guys an opportunity to ask any questions that you have based on the players, any type of situations going on with the 49ers, and then we can go from there. I figured I'd start with some of the updates that came from today. So the biggest thing I think that came from practice today, like I said, I was just on another pod when all the news was breaking and then hopped straight over to this one. So I'm doing my best catch up for the most part. But I had reposted some of the things from Niners Nation. Javon Kinlaw hurt his shoulder in his week-to-week. That's a tough one. Trent Williams, this one's the biggest one in my opinion. Trent Williams limped off the field late during practice, but Shanahan did say he isn't overly concerned. Again, overly concerned. I'm concerned whenever one of our starting offensive linemen get nicked up, especially a guy like Trent Williams. That is a little bit off-putting to hear. Nick Bosa returned to team drills, will return to team drills next week. So they're continuing to keep it safe with Nick Bosa. So those are some of the news and notes that came out of today's practice. I'm trying to see what else there was. I still haven't seen anyone talk. I've been waiting. Who's the right guard? Who's playing at right guard with Aaron Banks going down? I want to know who that is. I haven't seen any reports come out about who that is, which is odd, in my opinion. I don't know why that is not being reported on, considering that's a pretty impactful situation. They did report that Jalen Moore was the one who came in and filled in for Trent Williams, which makes a lot of sense considering Jalen Moore played and started at left tackle during the preseason game against the Chiefs. So a bit interesting. Again, the 49ers officially added Michael Kendricks, linebacker. They waived Donald Payne and linebacker James Burgess. D-line, Eddie Vanderdoes. Ken Webster got waived, and Austin Watkins Jr. got put on IR based on his broken foot. So not a ton of happy news to come out of training camp thus far today. But, you know, it is what it is. Really tough to see Austin Watkins go down with a broken foot. Javon Kinlaw has been a guy who's been trying to get on the field in practice. He's been really, really trying to get on the field. Hasn't really gotten a strong opportunity to because he has been dealing with a knee, from my understanding. This is apparently a shoulder. So unrelated to the other issues that he was dealing with in camp. So something to monitor week to week is a good sign. Again, I would have to imagine we don't see Kinlaw. At this point, I imagine we don't see Kinlaw in preseason this year. I know that the 49ers have been very specific with their load management on defense. They've been very specific with their load management on defense. I think it's a real thing. Back in training camp, we rarely got to see about the full starting, like the full starting defensive line. We really didn't get to see. We really didn't get to see them throughout training camp. Samson Ebukam, Nick Bosa, Kinlaw. We saw a little bit of D Ford. We saw a little bit of Eric Armstead. But for the most part, starting defensive line for the 49ers was on ice for the most part. So I think that's what we'll see for the rest of the preseason. At this point, Kyle Shanahan talked about this early at camp. Just get the guys to week 1. We got to get to the season. We already lost Tarvarius Moore for the year. We lost Justin School. We saw what happened with the meniscus with Jeff Wilson. He'll be coming off PUP at the beginning of the year. So we know our Achilles heel is literally injury at this point. We just know it's injury. So at this point, keep Kinlaw, keep Ford, keep Bosa, keep Eric off the field. I don't need to see them in preseason. I know exactly what all those guys are. Even Ebukam, just keep them out. I don't need to see them in preseason. I know what they are. I'm fine with it. Don't need to see it. Don't need to see them. We need them healthy. Obviously, our linebacker depth is getting tested, which is why we signed Michael Kendricks. And we cut a couple guys that really weren't doing much. So not worried about the guys that we released. James Burgess, I would say, probably had one of the most underwhelming preseason games against the Chiefs. Didn't have a great game. Did not have a great game. So I actually am okay with that decision coming down. Some of the the reports coming out of team period were this one's from Matt Barrows. Garoppolo threw early pick, threw it to Fred Warner, but then he said rallied with multiple downfield throws to Trent Sherfield and pretty touch pass at the sideline to George Kittle. Last pass of practice was a TD from Garoppolo to Mohamed Sanu. So sounds like, by all accounts, Garoppolo had a good day. All we're really seeing from a contextual standpoint from Lance is Lance threw a pick to Clinton Dix. But that's all that I've seen. No Sean Coleman today, which has been a swing tackle guy. Obviously, he can't be available if Trent's down. So, I don't know. Interesting day. Interesting notes that have came out of camp today, or practice today, I should say. Trying to see if anything else has popped up or shown up. Don't see anything. So that covers roster moves. That covers some of the practice notes. So I'll start looking at you guys for questions. Again, this is supposed to be a Q&A episode. So get your questions in, and I will start asking. I'm going to go to the top here. What happened to Kinlaw? We talked about that, so you caught wind of that. He's dealing with a shoulder. So what is week to week with the shoulder? We'll see. We'll see what happens. Like I said, at this point, I'm more just keep Kinlaw out. We don't need him in preseason at this point. This is a loaded question. What week will Trey Lance, or what week will we see Trey Lance start? Or what week will we see Trey Lance? Oh, that changes a lot. There isn't the word start in there. So I don't know if we're listening to Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan talked about using, like, if Jimmy Garoppolo is coming out as the starter week 1, Kyle Shanahan has talked about using Trey in multiple packages. Maybe we see him week 1. Maybe we see Trey get out there, do a couple things. Maybe we see a couple zone reads where they get Trey out there and run a couple packages. I still think Trey Lance, at this point, when he actually plays, is going to be a question that we'll be talking about almost every day. I think we'll be talking about it almost every day. Jesse asks, do I think Hufanga could start week 1 at strong safety? I do. I really do. I've talked about this a lot. Uh, Hufanga didn't get a ton of run with the ones really at all during training camp. He only got a run one day with the ones, and that was towards the end of camp. And because that camp actually was a non-padded practice, I decided that at that particular time, I wasn't going to watch offensive line because I'd been watching offensive line every single day that they were in pads. But because they weren't in pads, it's not a true evaluation between O line, D line. So I said, you know what, I'm going to go to a different position. And that was the day that Hufanga started opposite of Tavon Wilson and ran with the ones all day. And what you saw from Hufanga was the dude is smart. He is so smart. He knows exactly where he needs to be. He puts himself in position all the time. All the time. And we saw that on Saturday as well. We saw it translate into real game time experience where Hufanga is always around the ball. What we're going to start hearing a lot from Hufanga is he's got a nose for the football. He's got a nose for the football. He's always around the ball. And I think a lot of that has to do with his preparation, his understanding of the game. He's a very smart and intellectual, cerebral safety. And one of the things I talked about it yesterday when I did the preseason breakdown. I've talked about it before. He just doesn't have the elite top end speed. That's, I think, the only knock on Hufanga is he just doesn't have the elite top end speed. But his awareness, his situational awareness, puts him in opportunities to make plays consistently. So I think we saw that. So my biggest concern with Hufanga would be understanding situations, picking up the playbook, putting himself in position to make plays. Well, guess what? He's doing all of that. He is doing all of that. So the question is, Jesse says, do you think Hufanga could start week 1? I think he could. Will he? I don't know. That means that the team would have to sit down Tavon Wilson, right? Who's had a strong camp as well. I kind of imagine how it's going to play out based on the camp that Tavon Wilson has had so far. I think he's been a leader on that defense too, a vocal leader. So I'm not sure that they're going to I think they're going to give Tavon a shot. I think they're going to give Tavon Wilson a shot to go out there and play and start week 1. After that, though, I think it'll be interesting. I think it will be based on performance at that point. I think it will be based on performance from the strong safety position. And I think Hufanga could absolutely win it. I think he could in season. Again, all it takes is one little nick from one of those safeties, and Hufanga's up. So Hufanga's played much better than Tony Jefferson in camp. So I would imagine that is what happens. Let's see. Oh, and of course, it's a Q&A episode. If you make the donation, you get brought up to the front of the line. You get brought up to the front of the line. Kent Catchum, I think's the name. Do you think Trey can tighten his spiral at all? So the thing with Trey is, I think what we're seeing is we're seeing a guy who's been working on his mechanics nonstop since October of last year. When he got with his quarterback coaches in the offseason, of course, he didn't play his 2020 year. All he was doing in the offseason was working his mechanics, working play action, working his throwing motion, correcting things that he was doing in college at North Dakota State. And then when he gets to the 49ers and OTAs, they recorrect his motion again. So I just know that takes just repetition. It takes repetition to lose old habits, gain new ones, especially when you're in the heat of the moment and you're just playing. You're not thinking about, okay, when I hit this hitch step, I got to be here with my height. I can't bounce. I can't rock into my hitch. Like, which are some of the things that they corrected. But again, I think it's obviously still something he's working through mentally. And until he's like 100% solidified from a mechanic standpoint of like, this is what you are, Trey, this is what we want, then I think we'll see a lot of that stuff get figured out. Because we do see tight spiral. I've seen Trey Lance throw perfect spirals, drop it in the bucket, do all those kinds of things. I've seen Trey Lance throw perfect spirals on ropes. I've seen Trey Lance throw perfect spirals 60 yards downfield. It's just being able to do it consistently. And I think what you see is when it's at the heat of the moment, heat of the battle, sometimes he's just letting it rip and his mechanics might not be on point like that. Might get a little sloppy at times and you might see things go out of whack as a result. I'm not overly concerned about it. Again, Peyton Manning, I believe he was just inducted into the Hall of Fame. I didn't watch the whole thing. Yeah, I think he was. He's infamous for throwing ducks. He never threw pretty spirals. He threw with anticipation and accuracy. They weren't pretty spirals, and so as long as the ball gets there, I don't care what it looks like, to be perfectly honest. Let's see. Let me go back up. Where was I? We got to. Hey, Tom. I'm doing great. Doing awesome. I can't lie. Love to see. I would love to see us not get dinged up in practice. I would be better about that. This is from David Lombardi. He just tweeted it. Trey Lance took 2 more reps behind the first team 49ers O-line today. Both were read options. And so I've talked about this. I just got done talking about this on the pod with Angie and Steph. Just got done talking about this, how the first play that Trey Lance had ever run with the first team was a design quarterback power. And anytime he's played behind the starting offensive line, it's been a design quarterback run. Well, what Lombardi is reporting from camp today is Trey Lance took 2 more reps behind the first team offensive line. Both were read options. And he goes on to say, so far in training camp, Lance has taken 4 total snaps with the first team line and gone on. That doesn't make sense. Basically, they've been all designed runs, all 4 plays. So, again, when Kyle puts Trey in, he's running a different offense. Of course, I think, again, he keeps doing these things to help the O-line get a little bit more acclimated. But when Trey Lance he's played 4 first-team reps behind the offensive line, and they've all been design runs. They've all been designed runs. They haven't been passes. They haven't been handoffs. They've all been designed around Trey Lance. Ooh, another one. Ooh, these might be questions all from can't catch him. He's dropping them in. He's saying, "Oh, I get it. I love me some Trey too. I love this man. Just want to make sure Shanny doesn't hold him back. Show the real Trey. Hashtag 49ers for life." I think that's what we're talking about. It's kind of what we're talking about right now is, in preseason, we didn't see Trey Lance's offense. We didn't see the offense that we saw on the first 2 padded practices of training camp where Kyle unleashed Trey and just let him run free, run wild, and he gashed up our defense. Since then, he's kind of put the cuffs on him. And again, like we keep talking about, now Trey has 4 opportunities running with the first team, which is meaning you're playing behind the first string offensive line. All 4 plays have been designed running plays, which again is clearly going to be heavily involved in the offense once Trey Lance gets an opportunity. So we'll see. We'll see. Can't catch him. I appreciate you, man. I really do. Good stuff. Let's see. I keep trying to go back to the top. Chasing Gold says, I know you're the protector of the O-line, which I am, but when do we question Banks? I just talked about this again with Angie and Steph, but I'll of course talk about it again. I think I had higher expectations for Banks than I should have. And once I saw him in camp, it forced me very quickly to reevaluate my expectations. Because again, he shouldn't be playing up to my expectations. He needs to be playing at his level. And so with Banks, you could see, again, I like to preface this. He basically had 1 week of pads before he got into a game time scenario. As an offensive lineman, you're not really practicing unless you're in padded practices and you're full contact. So again, he's had a very limited amount of snaps. And I also believe that it's taking time, because we have to also understand the defensive line that we have on our team is also really good, but the transition from college trenches to the NFL trenches is completely different. 100% completely different. So we have to give him time. We have to give him some time to season, get acclimated. He still has to learn the offense. He's got to do a lot of things. So we have to remind ourselves that it's going to take some time. He will need more reps, I think, before he becomes comfortable with what we ask him to do. But unfortunately, of course, he goes down with the injury. He's out for 2 to 3 weeks, I believe. And then that changes his kind of developmental path, which is unfortunate. We needed him to get these reps. We needed him to get into preseason, to get the seasoning. Offensive linemen need some time. They need reps. I needed reps. I cannot imagine only practicing that amount of time and then trying to get ready for a game, going from college to the pros. Like, that is really hard. We have to put that into context. We absolutely have to put that into context. The GOAT, Don Burr. Will you have excuses when the Lions beat you? I know you're trying to say when they beat us. Will I have excuses? I don't know. I don't think so. If the 49ers lose to the Lions, it's probably because they had turnovers, didn't take care of the football, and Jared Goff had a good game. You see the cowl behind me. I'm a Jared Goff guy. I like Jared Goff. I like the fact that the Lions are changing their offense to fit the air raid mold or the bear raid that he ran at Cal. I like some of the weapons you have. DeAndre Swift. Amon-Ra St. Brown is one of my favorite draft prospects from the wide receivers coming out. Tyrell Williams looks nice. You have Hawkinson, who's a dominant blocker. You have good offensive line. So the offense should be good. I would expect the offense to score a touchdown or two on the 49ers. But like I said, if we're losing that game, it's because our offense isn't performing and we're turning over the football. That's what I think. But shout out Don Burr. Don, I will pull anytime you want to contribute to the page. Shoot it. I'll bring you up every time. Let's go, boy. Shout out Don Burr. I love it. I get a kick out of it, Don. I really do. How much pass game action do you think Trey will get with the first team O-line in a game these next 2 weeks? So this is one of the really hard things to project. And I've talked about it all training camp, because you see a ton of different things. Hold on here. Nick Bosa fully expected to be back at practice next week. Okay, yeah, we knew that. All right. Sorry. Squirrel. Trying to make sure I'm staying up to date. So back to the question. Do I think he will will get first team O-line in a game these next 2 weeks? He better. Like we talked about, he did get 2 first string reps today in practice. He did. And again, that's behind the starting offensive line, and both of those were run plays. So I know your question, Peyton, was about pass game action, essentially giving Trey Lance the opportunity to play from the pocket behind the starting first team offensive line, which is a huge difference between the second team unit. It's a massive difference. So do I think he will? I do. I would have to assume that that's going to happen next week. I'm really hoping, because it's joint practices next week with the Chargers, I'm really hoping that in joint practices we get to see Trey with the ones going up against the first string Chargers defense in practice. I think that makes the most sense. If it maybe didn't happen in the game or translate to the game, I could be okay with that as long as Kyle is doing it in practice against the Chargers next week. Chargers have a pretty solid defensive back room. Derwin James, a couple other good cornerbacks. So I would love to see Trey Lance get an opportunity to go up against a first-string defense that isn't his and play behind with the first-string O-line and wide receivers and let it rip. I would love to see that. Would absolutely love to see that. Should happen. Will Kyle do it? Kyle's unpredictable. I cannot predict anything Kyle will do because I understand he's got other things going on. He's other things to manage than just football. He's doing it all. So, do I think Trey should get first team? 100%. He should have got him all throughout training camp. I know why he didn't get first team reps throughout training camp, but he should have gotten first team reps throughout training camp. And will he get them in the game? Again, he should. He absolutely should. But will he? I don't know. Let's see. Next one up. 49ers Ultimate Report. Can I buy the candlestick park frame behind you? I missed the stick. It was second home for my childhood. I love it. Hey, shout out my wife. My wife got me that for Christmas. I don't know if I can sell that thing. My wife got that for me, so I don't know if the wifey would be too happy about seeing me pawn off some of the gifts that she got me. I like that one a lot, but a shout out Ultimate Report for the question. Go give my guy a follow on his YouTube. Appreciate the question, man. I miss the stick a lot, dude. I miss the stick a lot so much. I miss that thing so much. The stick was a vibe. The stick was a vibe. All right. Shout out you guys for the paid questions. Again, the paid ones get you to the front of the line. Oh, there we go. We got another one. So every time we get through the paid question, I go back to where I left off and try to get through them. But of course, based on how we're doing this, you throw the donation in, you get moved to the front. Just came in, so I don't know if this has been mentioned, but the biggest things I saw was the O-line was trash, and Kyle needs to let Trey run. So lots of things going on with the offensive line. Lots of things. Let's take a look at the starting offensive line when it comes to who was in the game. We had Jake Brendel starting at center. I've talked about Jake Brendel quite a bit. He's been someone I've watched throughout camp. He's a guy that I don't think was deserving of to be the second string center. I kind of wanted to see Dakota Shepley get that nod in front of him, but that meant he got the run at starting center yesterday. He didn't do great. He really didn't. He had an up and down game. He didn't make any glaring mistakes. Just a couple technique things, leverage things, playing on the wrong side, all those kinds of stuff. So again, yeah, with Jake Brendel in as your starting center, it's gonna be tough. Jalen Moore did okay. Jalen Moore did okay. Jalen Moore did okay. He did better than I thought he was going to do. The only miscue that I really saw from the starting offensive line, again, was the Brunskill mishap. Other than that, the starting offensive line did their job. No one got beat overly bad. It was just the situation with Brunskill, and I can talk about the Brunskill play because there's context involved. Again, he's going against Chris Jones, arguably the best interior defensive tackle in the NFL. What Chris Jones did, which was super savvy veteran move, is he grabbed Brunskill's hands. So when Brunskill goes to strike, Chris Jones just grabbed his hands and then took control of Brunskill's hands. And so, but when Brunskill went to plant an anchor, which is a huge step and part of being an offensive lineman and dealing with the bull rush, you have to be able to plant an anchor. He landed on Trey Sermon's foot. And if you've played O-line and you've been in those situations, if you step on another person's foot while you have someone barreling down on you, you're going down 100 times out of 100 times. It doesn't matter. You don't have balance. So I think that rep would have went a lot differently if Brunskill was able to anchor. If Brunskill was able to anchor and plant his foot, he could be able to redirect Chris Jones up the pocket, which would allow Trey Lance to step into the pocket. It would create a natural pocket for Trey Lance. But of course, if you're on the ground, you can't do that. So that was the only miscue I really saw from the starting unit. Other than that, you had a McKivitz sack. I don't know who to credit it. I would call it 50-50. The sack on McKivitz was 50% on McKivitz and 50% on Trey Lance. Trey Lance did not identify the blitz properly. He had an outside defender coming off the edge. Again, it was 5 versus 6. They had 5 in the block and only 6 coming from the defense. So that means Trey needed to know that. He needed to know that they were bringing one more that they could block, which means he has a hot receiver open. He didn't find Gallman. Gallman was wide open. Would have been like a 15-yard chunk gain. Trey Lance didn't see it. He didn't read the defense properly. But at the same time, McKivitz gave interior pressure immediately. So it's a double-edged sword. I call that a double-edged sword. Aaron Banks gave up a really tough sack. Again, with Aaron Banks, with how he's been getting beat in pass protection, I think Aaron Banks relied heavily on his hands to control defensive linemen in college. But what we're seeing with his transition to the NFL is defensive linemen are so good at swiping hands and making you lose the hand fight. Again, talking about what Chris Jones did to Brunskill. It's all about hands. If you can take away the offensive lineman's ability to strike, then you kind of throw them off. And so with Aaron Banks on his sack, that's what the defender did. The defender just swiped his hands, swiped him, and got right around him because Banks stopped his hands and he stopped his feet, and it was done. Guy got around him right away. He actually had 2 similar pass block plays. One turned into a sack. One was just a pressure. Jalen Moore had a sack. Again, it was just that one was a combo. combo of Trey Lance getting too much depth and also Jalen Moore just not having the best pass setting technique that he had actually shown the play prior. It was back-to-back plays. Jalen Moore had a really strong pass blocking rep. The very next play, his technique went to crap and gave up a sack as a result. So it's just the consistencies. You want to see these guys be consistent. I wouldn't want to call them trash. They've had their ups and downs. They've definitely had their ups and downs. And Kyle needs to let Trey run. Yes, 100%. Kyle absolutely needs to let Trey run. I don't know if we're going to see it in preseason, and if we do see it in preseason, it might be extremely modified. But thank you, Shane, for the question. Appreciate it. But yeah, I agree. I think they need to get Trey. We of course know they need to let Trey loose, but at the same time, we know they don't want to let Trey loose because again, we would be tipping our hand. We'd be tipping our hand in preseason, so I don't think they want to do that. I don't think they want to show what they're really capable of with Trey Lance. I don't think Kyle wants to do that. Chasing Gold said, I'm honestly concerned with the O-line we put out in the coming preseason games with these injuries popping up. It's a top priority to protect our quarterbacks. 100%. Offensive line is arguably, again, I'm biased. I'm 100% biased. As a former center, as a former guard, I'm so biased. I'm so biased to the offensive line. I'm so biased to them not getting enough credit when they do good and them getting too much credit for being bad. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just a position that's misunderstood. People don't know how to evaluate it. People who get paid to cover this game don't know how to evaluate offensive line play. That was on full display yesterday. It's just a fact. There's so much nuance that goes on in between the trenches that, like, if you've never played or like just focused on O-line play and the intricacies and nuances of what they're responsible for, you have no idea how to evaluate it or talk about it. You don't. Only when they make a mistake. That's it. That's why you only hear about offensive linemen when they make a mistake or make a pancake. There's no in-betweens because there's so much technique that goes on that offensive line that people don't see it. They just see a bunch of big fat guys running into each other, and that's about it. But there's so much technique in every single move and step and hand placement and push and pull. Like, there's so much going on there that's like far beyond what anyone can even imagine. So it's just tough. But of course, injuries. Trent Williams getting dinged up today, tough. Really tough. Don't like to see that. Third running back, Gallman or Hasty. I think Hasty made a really strong case on Saturday. I think Gallman has been up and down. I think it was Gallman's job to lose, but I think Gallman's been a little bit up and down. With another solid Hasty performance, I think Hasty could really make a push. I think he could. I really think he could. Let's see. Again, working back from the earlier questions to the last ones. Let's see here. Sean asks, hey, bro, how do you think our number 2 center did and Jake Brendel, who was the starter? I don't think he was that good. I just don't. Again, I've watched a ton of Jake Brendel in training camp because I want to see Dakota Shepley be successful. I'll be honest, I'm biased in that regard. So, I mean, what I've seen from Jake Brendel, again, he didn't have any glaring plays on Saturday when he started at center, but he also didn't have any plays where I'm like, oh, wow, man, got to have this guy. Like, again, he just doesn't do it for me. I think Dakota Shepley had one of the better games of anyone on the field offense, defense, special teams on Saturday as the third string center. I felt like the third team unit played really well together. I know there's a lot of focus on some of the issues that popped up with the second string unit with Trey, but I think the third team unit actually performed pretty well. And again, I haven't heard anyone report of who the second string guard is to replace Aaron Banks, which I find a bit odd that no one has put that out, because that would have been the first thing I looked at. But they haven't put it out, so we don't know who that person is. Someone's got to move up from the third team to take over for Aaron Banks. I was hoping it would be Shepley, but we'll see. I think Shepley had a great game. I think Shepley deserves some look with the second string unit at center. I think he's been performing well. I really do. How will Marcel Harris do as a hybrid linebacker? I think he's been doing okay. I think he's been up and down, but for the most part, he's been okay. He looks nice in situations where he's being targeted in the pass game. Obviously, he has the defensive background, so I think he's been doing really well there. I think he gets lost a little bit in the wash in the run game, but if he's one of those fringe guys who, again, can play multiple roles, can play safety, or he can come down and play nickel linebacker or something like that, then I could see him have a potential spot on this team. I'm not ready to cut him loose yet. I thought he's been a player. He's made plays for us in the past. So I give him the benefit of the doubt at this point. I don't mind Marcel Harris, but again, it's a new position for him. It's a new situation. What's up with receivers dropping so many Trey Lance passes? I don't know. One receiver that comes to my mind is Richie James. Richie James has been really up and down throughout camp. He has dropped passes in camp. We saw that translate to the field as well. We saw Ayuk drop a couple passes that we would have assumed he would have made. You want to see that corrected. You want to see them bring those back. That one to Richie James was hurt. That was tough. Really was tough. Richie really needed to bring that one in. That one to the sideline where Trey Lance threw a dart. Richie needed that. He really needed that score or that catch because he's had a lot of drops throughout camp. So not a great look. Not a great look. Who do I see winning the wide receiver 3 spot? I think it's already been won for the most part. I think if we had to classify it as a wide receiver 3, Mohamed Sanu has that locked up. I think Mohamed Sanu is the wide receiver 3. At least the big slot. He's the starting big slot. And I would kind of say Trent Sherfield is the starting small slot, if that makes sense. Because when we saw 2-minute team period last day of training camp, they were running 11 personnel, which is 3 wide receiver sets. And the 3 wide receivers that were out there for that entire period were Ayuk, Debo, and Sanu. Well, the day that Debo didn't practice and they were running situational, it was Ayuk, Sanu, and Sherfield. So I think we have a top 4 lock. I think all 4 of them are interchangeable. Obviously, Ayuk and Debo, priority 1, 2, we get it. But I think it's gone from a lock at the top 2 to now it's a lock at the top 4. It's 100% Ayuk, Debo, Sanu, Trent Sherfield. Those 4, in my opinion, are locks. They are 100% locks to make this roster. I don't think it's a question. Now, the next battle is All right, well, is Kyle keeping 7 wide receivers or 6? We've seen him keep 7 before. We've seen him keep 6 before. If he keeps 6, that means there's only 2 more spots. And right now, Juwan Jennings looks like he has the he's an upfront winner to be that 5th guy. He's looked pretty good, but it's that 6th position. Who's going to be that 6th guy? Because Richie James has, you hear it, he's not being talked about in the top 5 when he should have been one of the guys to come down with the top 3 spot. He's regressed. Austin Watkins Jr. was pushing on strong late into camp. He's regressed. Or wait, who does Austin? He didn't regress. He got injured. He broke his foot. He's on IR. He's not available. He'll be out for 6 to 8 weeks. So Austin Watkins was kind of pushing and was going to make it difficult on the team to make that final cut. So now it actually kind of opens up for guys like Richie James, River Craycraft, Simba Webster. Simba looked good, man. Simba showed out in preseason. He got more reps in preseason than he got in camp. Again, guys like River, guys like Simba, they're not getting reps in camp. They're just not. So we're about to find out. We're getting tested early. We're getting tested early. We are getting tested early. Sean asks, would Jay Moore do better at guard? I don't know the answer to that. I've seen him primarily at tackle in camp. I know they were talking about playing him at guard after they drafted him, but he has played primarily tackle. And so far, he looks like a tackle. He doesn't look like a big mauler in regards to being in the run game where you got to dig out big nose tackles and defensive tackles. I still see the ability to get to second level, but again, I don't see a big mauler. I actually kind of see, and that was my scouting report on Jalen Moore, was he's actually a better pass blocker than I think he was a run blocker. So I'm actually okay with just keeping Jalen Moore at left tackle, especially with Trent Williams getting dinged up. Keep him at left tackle. Get all the experience as he can. Don't play Trent next week. Keep Jalen Moore in, and we got to give Jalen Moore the experience. Trial by fire for Jalen Moore. I think that has to happen, because let's say Trent does go down in season or whatever, we need a backup. We need a backup tackle. Justin School ain't around anymore. Are we going to put Brunskill at left tackle? I don't know, because we're real close. We're like an injury away on that offensive line to going into panic mode. So got to get those things figured out. How much do I think Brunskill weighs? Always felt like he seems a little light in the shorts for an NFL guard. Yeah, Brunskill isn't a power guy. I'll be the first to tell you. Brunskill is not a power guy. He's technique, he's speed. He's technique, he's speed. He's not power. He's going to beat you with technique. He's going to beat you with first step quickness, beating you to leverage points. That's how he wins. That's how he beat Aaron Donald. He beat Aaron Donald with speed and technique. He's not stronger than Aaron Donald. And some of the things with Brunskill you still see. He can get overpowered. He can. He's not super thick. He doesn't have a big base. He's light. He is a lighter offensive lineman. How much does he weigh? He might be under 300. He might. Again, so I don't know. He's not a big guy, and he wins with speed. He wins with speed, and he wins with technique. I don't necessarily need him to be super powerful, although it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt, but again, this is an outside zone offense. I need my zone offensive linemen to be able to get to linebackers, get to safeties, reach, block, do all those kinds of things. So I'm okay. I thought Brunskill did fine on Saturday, and he's played okay all throughout camp as well. Let's see. Starting to catch up on some of the questions here. Let's Let's see. Matt H says we're in a pickle. It seems like Kyle put a lot of stock into Banks being stock on Banks being about to start. They wanted Brunskill to be that versatile six man. Would you agree? I kind of felt like that. I kind of felt like after you saw Kyle Shanahan make the investment in the offensive line room and spend that high draft pick on an interior offensive lineman, yeah, I kind of felt that. I felt like I was like, "Ooh, I love Brunskill." You guys know I love Brunskill, but I was like, oh, "That's an investment. That's an investment." Kyle made it an investment into that position, and I don't know. We got to see. We got to see. Um, I think Brunskill is still that. He can still play tackle, center, and guard. Like that's what I'm talking about. Trey Lance or Trent Williams goes down. Like, do they put Brunskill at left tackle? Like I don't know. I don't know. I think Brunskill is that utility piece for sure. Um, but he's still been performing as the best right guard in camp. He's performed better than McKivitz. He's performed much better than Aaron Banks. He's performed better than anyone else who's been in there. So yeah, that's a good problem for us. I mean, it would be different if Brunskill wasn't performing and Banks wasn't performing, but at least Brunskill's still doing his job and still looking nice. Kent Catchum, MVP of this Q&A session. Shout you out, man. Trey launched a semi duck that still went over 40 yards in the air for a touchdown. No other QB even got close with that this weekend. Good times coming. Again, I talked a little bit about some of the mechanics with Trey Lance. He's a product that is still learning how to properly throw the football. He's young. That comes with the territory. Like with Jimmy Garoppolo, they're not like doing a deep dive into his mechanics and like trying to decide, oh, what's going on with Jimmy with this throw and that throw. We got to retool his mechanics, retool this, retool that. I think it's more of just like, all right, Jimmy, you're in your head right now. Let's figure out from this standpoint of what we need to do to allow you to get the ball out. But with Trey, there's no limitation on his arm strength. He's really good at accuracy. Again, you see some balls get away from him at times. You do see some balls that are quote unquote a duck, but again, I don't care about spirals. After watching Peyton Manning dominate the NFL for years with ducks, I don't care if your balls pause. I almost said a number. I don't care if your throws don't look super tight and good, and I don't need these crazy spirals every single time. I don't. I just need accurate passes with timing. That's all I care about. So if the ball is doing one of these, but as long as it gets there in accuracy with anticipation and timing, that's all I care about. The spiral is like the trim. It's the icing on the cake. It brings it all together. It makes it that ooh ah situation. But again, at the same time, I'm okay with it. I'm okay. Trey's strength comes from his arm strength and his ability to put the ball where he wants to put it. So I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. Appreciate you, Kent. Kent, the MVP. Kent, the MVP of this Q&A session. Let's see. Kyle says, did you guys watch the video of Haha running drills with the team today? Love the way he moves. Awesome signing. I've not seen those videos. I've been doing lives since 1. So I've been trying my best to monitor. I have not seen those. I'll definitely go back and take a look and see what that's all about. But Haha had a pick on Trey Lance today, so I think it's a great signing as well. I was able to be there at practice. First day of practice for Haha, wearing number 49, and what I liked about what Haha did is he stayed after practice, working on his technique, working on some things with his position coach. And I think Haha is a player. I really do. So I think it was a good signing. I'm glad he was available, and I'm glad that they got him in here. I think he really could provide something. So I like that signing. I do. MVP's back. The MVP is back. Kent said, I don't mean he throws ducks, just mean even though it didn't come out right, he still got it where it's supposed to go. 100%. I got what you're saying, Ken. I'm sorry if I didn't make that clear. The arm strength that Trey has, like I said, whether it's a duck, because he has thrown those before. He has thrown the wobblers, and he has thrown the tight spiral. But one of the things with Trey is he has such a strong arm that it's not like the duck that we're referencing is an indication that he can't throw the ball where it needs to be, with the velocity it needs to be, and with the accuracy. So as long as those things are on point, I can live with a quote unquote ugly pass from a spiral standpoint. Oh, we got Coach. Coach is back. Good to have you in here, Coach. Missed you the last couple times, man. Coach says, I'm late. Heard Trent, knee, hip, and Kinlaw, shoulder, both at practice today. Was there any more news on that? No, we haven't got a specific timetable from anything regarding the injury. I was talking about from a speculation standpoint that honestly, if Trent is getting nicked up right now, I don't want that to happen. I need Trent Williams available all 17 games and a potential playoff run. I need Trent available. I can't have Trent hurt. So if he's a little banged up and had to leave the field, then at this point, I'm kind of of the mindset of just keep Jalen Moore at left tackle. He played decently well for us in preseason. Okay, I like the start. Then keep him there. Give him some more seasoning. Give him some more runs with Laken Tomlinson. Allow him to get more reps at left tackle. Feel more confident running with the ones. Let him run with the ones again against the Chargers during joint practice and the preseason game, because this is our opportunity. We understand Trent Williams doesn't need practice. Trent Williams doesn't need practice. He's a finished product. So if that's the case, we want, again, just like Kyle Shanahan has said, we want to get everyone to week 1 healthy. Fine. Sit Trent. Sit Trent, again, for a second week in a row. Keep him out of practices against the Chargers and keep him out of the game. I'm looking at this as an opportunity, because what we've heard is Trent's walked off on his own energy. Kyle is saying that, Kyle's basically saying, like, I'm not overly concerned. So again, tinfoil hat, coach speak. They don't want us to freak out. So we'll wait for a little bit more to come out from Trent Williams. But like I said, perfect opportunity now to give Jalen more run. Give him more experience. because it is sounding like we're going to need some offensive linemen to step up in season, because you know how it is. It's a physical game. People get hurt, especially on the offensive line. So we need as much experience with our backups, almost just as much as we need with our starters. So that's kind of my vibe on that situation. Again, Coach, appreciate you as always contributing to the show. One of my faves. You and Kent, man. You and Kent Catch'em. Boy showing up today. But yeah, no additional news. Just trying to put the news into some logical thought processes and how to move forward from it. Because again, we don't want to risk with injury. I don't want to do it. This is an interesting question. EMA Beats says, Brad, who did we whiff on in the draft? I was iffy about a few. I was iffy about a few as well. I'll talk about the ones I was high on. High on Elijah Mitchell. Really like that signing. Of course, like Trey. Loved that signing, or loved that pick. It's kind of everything in the middle. Wasn't how I would have stacked it personally. I felt like you could have switched certain values at certain places. Obviously, we understand they traded back in the second round with the Raiders. Who was on the board at that time? Aziz Ojulari, who's been having a fantastic camp with the New York Giants as an edge rusher. He was one of my favorite edge rushers. Obviously, our edge depth has been tested pretty early. So he could have been a target in the second round. Also, Trevon Moehrig, huge Trevon Moehrig guy at safety. Clearly, we've seen the issues in depth at safety. Maybe you take a guy like Trevon Moehrig in the second round, and you could still stack a guy like Talanoa Hufanga in the fifth round. You still could have got both guys, and you could have grabbed a Quinn Miners in the third round. So, in regards to whiff, it's too early. It's way too early. It's way too early to say Aaron Banks was a whiff. It's way too early to say Ambry Thomas was a whiff. It's just way too early. We can't determine that. If anyone tries to tell you they can, take it with a grain of salt. They might indicate and show things in practice and snaps where you're like, oh, ooh. But again, everyone develops at their own pace, and everyone enters the league at their own stage of development. Not everyone is created equal. Not everyone develops the same way. Some guys are late bloomers. Some guys are early bloomers. It just happens. So as long as we understand how to quantify that, I'm not sure that I'm ready to quantify anyone as a whiff yet. Obviously, Aaron Banks is a little bit further behind than I was anticipating him to be, but that's my expectation versus reality. Ambry Thomas, I think, has come on a little slower than a lot of us would have hoped for a third round cornerback, but again, comes with the territory. I think everyone's pleasantly pleased with Talanoa Hufanga. Diamador Lenore has been actually played pretty darn well himself. And I think Elijah Mitchell's worth the 6th round pick that he was selected in. So again, we could go back and do revisionist history, and maybe there's a different way we target certain positions at which round, and we traded up to get Trey Sermon. So again, we can go back and revisit all of it to be like, oh well, we could have taken this guy here and we didn't. We took that guy and traded here. Could have done this. Of course, we could have done all that kind of stuff. I think it's too early. It's too early. But I would say who isn't performing to expectation, I would say Ambry Thomas, Aaron Banks haven't performed to expectation, if that makes sense. I wouldn't call them whiffs yet, just not performing to as what we would have hoped early from some of the early draft picks. So this is my first camp covering. I've been to training camp since 2011 to watch as a fan. This is my first time like covering, like scouting, and like of course I watch football through that lens, through a scouting lens. I always have as a former player, as someone who wanted to be a scout. That's just how I view the game. But this is the first year that I went for multiple days and scouted, tracked all these kinds of things. First of all, the numbers that come out of camp with completion percentage and throw them in the garbage. Throw them in the garbage. Half of them in there, like I don't even know if they're accurate. They're not representative of what's going out there on the field. Like Matt H alluded to, there are plenty of plays where there would have been sacks, but the defense just runs around because they can't tackle or they can't create fumbles or do things like that. So they go ahead and they complete the pass. Like, so it's a double-edged sword. It's a nice tool to kind of reference back and see like, okay, in team periods, X quarterback completed this many passes versus this, had a touchdown versus an interception or like a tipped pass or whatever. But in regards to like completion percentages and putting those kinds of numbers out there, don't pay attention to it. And you're seeing different reporters report differently, and it's funny because it matches their kind of perceptions of what's going on, but you're seeing them come out differently. That's why I'm like, I don't care. Like I said, the numbers, the tracking, the statting, it's a nice thing to go back and look at, but I use my eyes. I use my eyeballs. I don't use numbers to scout. I don't use statistics to scout. I don't. I've always been watch the tape, use my eyes. That's it. I'm sure I could incorporate more advanced analytics into my scouting to help identify trends and things like that, of course. But the whole like stock up, stock down based on these numbers that are coming out of camp, it's not accurate. Again, how are you gonna base one offense? There's two offenses on this team. There's a Trey Lance offense and a Jimmy Garoppolo offense. Well, how are you going to base Trey Lance playing out of Jimmy Garoppolo's offense? It doesn't look the same. He doesn't look as comfortable. He doesn't look as efficient. But when he's in the Trey Lance offense, he's lights out. He's on fire. You can't stop him. So those are the things I pay attention to. I pay much less attention to the numbers. It's just a nice tracking tool. That's it. And again, they're not even being reported 100% accurately. So whatever. Just take it with a grain of salt. You really want to find. I know this is a really hard thing for me throughout my 10 years of doing this. When you're not there, you have to figure out who you can rely on and who you can't rely on in regards to football evaluation. Because bottom line is not everyone knows how to evaluate football. Even these people who are paid to tell you what's happening at camp every day, they don't really know football. Like they know how to report on it. They know how to talk about it. They know how to, write. They're writers. They're journalists. They're not football players. They didn't play the game. They've never worn a helmet. So how do you understand those small nuances? How do you learn those things in the trenches? With what technique is occurring? If you're getting some pressure on your outside shoulder, how do you counteract that as an offensive lineman? What technique and what type of placement with your hands and feet are you trying to accomplish? Well, how do you know if someone's having a bad or good rep based on that? If you don't know that context, who are you to say someone had a good or bad rep? Who are you to say that? So that's why when it comes to I got a lot of respect for the beat reporters. They do their job. They're super good with telling you a lot of information that you need to know. That's what they're there for. They're good at pulling quotes. They're good at reporting injuries. They're reporting information. But that isn't evaluation. There's a big difference between reporting and evaluation. So you got to figure out who you can pay attention to and trust from an evaluation standpoint. Who's evaluating? Who's seeing the field properly? Not everyone sees it the same. Not everyone understands the game the same. So just saying. Just saying. Just saying. What else? What else we got? You tell him. You tell him, Kent. Find who you trust. Find someone with a track record of being able to evaluate. Again, my guy Jordan Elliott, Niners Nation, stud. Follow him. He's going to give you great insight. Evaluation. If you see guys evaluating draft talent, those guys can also evaluate pro talent. It's the same thing. It's the same carryover. They're looking for the same things. They're keying on the same evaluation techniques. Now you're just seeing it in the pros. So try and find those people who are good at evaluating draft talent, because those people who are good at evaluating draft talent will be good at evaluating your team as well. Coach says, Brad, preach. Fans have been swindled by the new talking heads and YouTube gangsters babbling about the Niners. They're not ball players. Listen, I respect everyone with the platform out there doing what they do. There's a lot of like one of my guys, Jason Aponte. Jason Aponte's never played football, but he has a really good eye for what to look out for. Jason Aponte knows what to watch and what to look out for. And of course, like Jordan and I will tell him what we're seeing and things like that, so that he can take that next step of his evaluation process. But there are guys out there that are seeing the game properly, seeing it for what it is, as a football game, not as I got to report on this and I got to push this storyline versus that narrative. At the end of the day, you just watch the football. You just watch the football, and the football tells you everything. But you have to understand how to watch football. Like, you have to understand the small nuances, because if there's anything that I'm sure all you guys understand, I see a lot of you guys a lot. I see Coach a lot, chasing gold. Can't catch him, new MVP of today. I don't know though. Coach is coming for that MVP. But I see some of you guys. I see the way you talk about football, and there's people who see it, and there's people who don't. And guess what? Not every reporter is going to see the game as it should be seen. And you're seeing this big dialogue about objective and context. Again, just try to pay attention. Just try and pay attention to the guys that evaluate, because we're going to do our best to just evaluate in a vacuum. Meaning, like, I've been a Jimmy guy. And I've also been a Trey guy. So when I'm evaluating the quarterback, I'm just evaluating the quarterback. I don't care about the storylines of the last 8 months. I'm watching two quarterbacks play football. That's what I'm watching. And I'm watching who does better, who operates what better, who's at a disadvantage, who's struggling in what area. And that's what we talk about. We talk about the football. We talk about the context behind it. We talk about why it's happening. We talk about what they're trying to accomplish and why it's not working or why it is working. I could care less about your 6-month battle over Jimmy versus whoever. I don't care. We're here to evaluate football. That's what we're here for. So shout out, Coach. Shout out, Coach. Oh yeah, Jason has a ton of respect for the game, and like I said, I like the way he sees it. I like the way he sees it. He's learning. He's trying. He's doing a lot to learn and catch up to speed and do all those kinds of things. So Jason, 100%. Jason's a big up and comer, big time. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I didn't mean to turn that into a big whole session about other people, and because again, I'm not going to see everything 100% either. I'm not going to see everything 100% either. I will miss things. I will see something maybe not as I thought I saw. It happens. One of my biggest takeaways from camp too is it's so impossible to evaluate everything all the time. Especially like, for example, they have 3 1v1 groups going at once. You have the offensive D line over there, you have running backs versus linebackers here, and then you got DBs versus wide receiver over there, and they're all going at the same time, and you got different quarterbacks over there, and you're just like, you're trying to hop around. And like, again, the biggest thing with football is stacking plays together, context, consistency, those kinds of things. So that's why when I went to training camp, I'm like, I'm watching offensive line for 5 straight days in a row. I don't care. I'm just watching offensive line because I need the baseline consistency level. Those guys are going to lose reps. They're going to win reps too. I can't focus on either. I got to focus on who's consistently winning and who's consistently losing, because that's how you base evaluation off of. Who is playing well consistently. And so that's why I'm like, I got to watch O-line for the entire practice for multiple days. I got to stack reps. I got to stack and log who's winning the most, who's losing the most, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, that's hard to do. That is hard to do in of itself. It's hard to focus. We don't have tape. We can't go run it back. We can't rewatch it. So I guarantee you there's a lot of things that get misrepresented at training camp. So if you can get to training camp, get to training camp, buy some tickets. It's worth going. It's worth going. But you know, it is what it is. I can't be quality control, Sean. That's Grant's quality control. I'm the water boy, or I'm the guy. I tend to all the beards on the team. I'll keep all the beard balm. If any of the bearded gentlemen on our team need some shiny beard balm, I'll do that. Grant's already quality control. Oh man, but I won't be the water boy. I'll be the beard boy. When they take their helmets off and they have their chin strap on and their beards are all like this, I'll be like, all right, I'm coming. I'm like, hey guys, you know the guys with like the water bottles, they like shoot them up to their face. I'll be like I got beard balm. Who needs beard balm? All right, I need to stop. Too much. Too much. Oh man, I'll be the QC's QC. I'll take that. I'll be the QC's QC. Brad the barber. Yeah, we'll see. Trey Smith is going to start for the Chiefs. They got him in the 6th round. Well, Trey Smith is much better than a 6th round pick. Trey Smith, now I wouldn't call him a 3rd round pick. I wouldn't call him a 6th round pick, though. I would have said like 4th round, right around the 4th round, Trey Smith. You find starting offensive linemen in the 4th round. Trey Smith out of Tennessee, got to watch him live at the Senior Bowl. He did okay. He did all right. He has good traits. He has good movement abilities. Needed a little polish. But yeah, he's starting. Again, everyone develops differently. We can't compare at this point. We can't. I know we want to, but we can't. We really can't. All right. It's been an hour 20. I think that's been a successful Q&A. It's been a successful Q&A. I'll give an opportunity for maybe one or two more questions, and we'll send it out on that note. So throw your questions at me. I'll answer one or two more, and then we'll get out of here. We'll get out of here. Let me know what you want to talk about. Eric says, I think we need an all-pro receiver. I feel okay, honestly. I feel okay. I wouldn't feel okay if Trent Sherfield hasn't come on like he has. Trent Sherfield's been super strong. I talk about it all the time. I play Dynasty, so that means I'm in leagues that have been going for a couple years, and you're building your rosters all throughout the year. I have Trent Sherfield on every single one of my teams. He's on the waiver wire. I picked him up everywhere because I believe in Trent. I believe in Trent Sherfield that much, and that was before Saturday. What we saw. Of course, I've been at practice, so I've been watching. So I grabbed Trent Sherfield everywhere. I think Trent Sherfield's going to be a great wide receiver for us. I think Mohamed Sanu is actually going to be a strong veteran that plays like, I know Eric wants an all-pro. You thinking about what this offense could have looked like with Julio Jones and things like that. Would have been special. But I like the combination of Mohamed Sanu and Trent Sherfield. I think Trent Sherfield can be a dog. Like, again, that all-pro wide receiver. I'm not going to call Trent Sherfield an all-pro wide receiver. But what I've seen from him, he doesn't drop the ball very often. He's a dog. You can tell 100% Trent Sherfield's a dog. He's going to take the fight to you. He's going to 100% take the fight to you. He has his head on the right way. Him and Trey clearly have a rapport. So maybe, for a fifth wide receiver, I like Trent, man. I really do. I really like Trent. It's not smoke. If one of those guys goes down, then we're having a different conversation. If one of those guys goes down, we're at a different conversation. If one of the top four guys go down, then we're like, all right, it's tough. It's tough. So we'll see. Let's see. Are we at the point where we should bring in a veteran guard? I think that this team is going to be monitoring who gets cut for sure. I think they're going to be monitoring. There's always going to be good players that get let go for contract reasons around this time. When they see a younger guy, again, this is part of the issue with being a veteran. We've talked about the quarterback, but when you're a veteran and you're making a certain amount of money, and you got a cheap young guy playing at about the same level as you better believe they're going to drop the older, more expensive guy almost 100% of the time. Unless the older guy is just that much more of a veteran and a presence in the locker room. When a young guy is playing at about the same level as a veteran who's getting paid more, almost always they defer to, or at least I would, if I'm building a team, I'm deferring to the young talent, because that young talent has the opportunity to be better than what this guy's already performing at. So you can talk about that with the quarterback position. We're seeing Trey Lance and Jimmy play like this throughout camp. So do you go with the young potential, or do you just stick with Jimmy? They're about the same right now. So I don't know, but I think they're going to be watching the waiver. I think the 49ers are going to be active. I think they're going to be active with adding a couple more players. I don't think they're done. I don't think they feel comfortable with the injuries and the depth so far. I don't think they do. Special teams, yeah, special teams haven't been great. Special teams have been up and down. That's kind of why I like the Simba Webster played pretty nice for us. So we'll see about that. We'll see about that. This is all we want. Just give us a bowl, man. Just give us a dang bowl. Just give us that ship. That's all we want. Just give us a ring. Well, not give it to us. We'll take it. We'll absolutely take it. So we want. I think this is a good place to end it too. I've been saying this. I'll say it to you guys. I know the quest for 6 has been the tagline for some time since the Harbaugh era. I'm personally over it for multiple reasons. Questing implies you're looking for something. Questing implies you're trying to find something. You're on this journey to go find something, to go obtain it, to go get it, right? A quest, magical quests. You're going on a quest to obtain something, right? We know where it is. I don't need to look for that 6th ring. We know where it is. It's in our division. We got to win the division. And then we got to play sound football in the playoffs. We got to get back to the Super Bowl. And we got to take the 6th. I'm not questing to get there anymore. We've quested enough. We quested our way to the Super Bowl against the Chiefs. And we quested away our chance at a victory. So I'm tired of looking for it. Tired of hunting for it. We're going to go take it. Tired of it. Tired of the questing. I'm tired of the implications that come from questing, which is looking. No. We found it. We know where it is. And we're going to go get it. We're going to take it because it's ours. We're one of the best franchises in the NFL. We deserve to be fighting for championships every single year. So we're not looking for championships. We're not looking for them. We've already got 5 of them. We took 5. We didn't quest our way to 5. We took 5. And guess what? We're going to take 6. We're taking 6. I don't want to quest anymore. It was fun. It was fun during the Harbaugh era. It was a lot of fun, rallying cry. It's a good hashtag. I'm done with it. I'm retiring it. Hashtag get the 6th. Hashtag take 6. Pick your poison. Pick your poison. Haha, Sean. Beautiful. That's what real kings do. We go into other kingdoms and take everything they have. Preach. 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 We take it. We're not looking anymore. I love that. Good quote, Sean. That's a great way to wrap up my little rant. Shout out EMA Beats. I see you. I see you trying to get those likes up. We appreciate that. I really do. Really, really do. I appreciate everyone who donated today on today's Q&A. I appreciate everyone who's contributed. Appreciate, again, all the guys that keep showing up, man. I see you guys. I notice you guys. I see the contributions. I see you guys know what you're talking about. And I think that's the most fun. I like having back and forth with people that we don't have to agree all the time. We're going to disagree. Like Coach and I have disagreed a couple times. Coach got me fired up about Alex Smith and Mahomes 2.0 and why Jimmy and Trey were like that. Coach got me fired up, but Coach is the man, dude. So I appreciate you guys. As always, keep challenging me to be better. I'll keep challenging you to be better. Iron sharpens iron. You know the whole vibes. We're out here. We're just getting started. We're going to have an awesome season ahead of us. It's going to be ups and downs. Guess what? It's going to be ups and downs. We're going to have episodes where we cry together. We're going to have episodes where we laugh together. We're going to have episodes where we're at each other's necks because we don't agree on something. But at the end of the day, right, we still love this team. We're about the 49ers, and we want to get that 6, right? We're going to go take it. We're going to go take it. So, again, appreciate all you guys contributing, commenting, donating, liking, subscribing. This is my thing, man. This is my vibe. So all these contributions that you guys make to me help support me and my family. So when I say it means a lot, it truly, truly means a lot. Just like this, Luke. These things mean a lot to me, man. I don't care if it's $1, $2, whatever. It really means a lot. You're helping me support mine and my family. So truly, truly appreciate it. Luke says, Jimmy gonna start and make this thing hum. Let's go, Luke. I want to see it. I have my doubts. Based on what I've seen in camp. Consistency with Jimmy is the number one thing. We need consistent, good Jimmy for 60 minutes. Hell, 50 minutes. Give me 50 minutes of consistent, good Jimmy. We're all right. I'll take it. Shout out, Luke. I appreciate you guys. All right, I think I'm going to head out on that one. I see you, MA Beats. I see you, Coach. I see you, Sean. I see you, Luke. I see all the boys. I see you guys coming back. Scuba Steve's been around. I see you guys around. Shout you guys out. You guys deserve some credit. You guys are making this show go just as much as I am. So appreciate it. We'll be back. We'll do it again. You know the vibes. We out. Let's go get it. Peace.